You have some questions about vaginal births after C-section or trials of labor after a C-section and induction. And it's always good to talk with your OB provider if you've had C-sections in the past and want to attempt a vaginal delivery with your current pregnancy or in the future. And based on their knowledge of your circumstances, they can determine if you're a good candidate. And some of the screening tools or guidelines used to determine if a woman's a good candidate or not are the number of C-sections she's had in the past and what her current circumstances are. For example, if a woman has had more than 2 C-sections in the past, she needs to have repeat C-sections and cannot attempt a vaginal birth. Or say that you've had 2 C-sections in the past and your doctor said that you were a good candidate during this pregnancy for a VBAC, but towards the end of pregnancy your baby is breech, then you'd of course have to have a repeat C-section. So it really all comes down to the circumstances, and this is a decision that you need to make with advice from your OB provider. So ultimately, my recommendation is to have a conversation with them about it. Now, you wanted to know if you could be induced when attempting a VBAC. And again, this is a good conversation to have with your doctor. And it depends on if you've had a vaginal delivery in the past before successfully and how favorable your cervix is once you get to the end of the pregnancy. We use the medical term ripe to discuss the cervix and how ready it is for labor. And ideally, in the days to weeks leading up to the delivery of a baby, the woman's body will release hormones or prostaglandins that act on the cervix and actually soften it and move it forward in the woman's pelvis. It begins to thin out and even dilate a little bit. And research has shown that if a woman has had a successful vaginal delivery and she has a favorable cervix, her chance for uterine rupture while attempting a VBAC is low. And so a doctor may determine that that's okay to do for a woman. But again, it all depends on the circumstances. It also depends on the capability of the hospital that she's delivering at to handle an emergent situation, because when it comes down to it, if a woman's attempting a vaginal birth after a C-section, there's a risk for uterine rupture. Every time a doctor performs a C-section, an incision is made on the uterus and they stitch it up after the baby's born, and in most cases it heals nicely, but it's a weak point forevermore. And there is the possibility that during future pregnancies that weak point will be tested and it could actually burst while the woman's pregnant, or especially while she's contracting. And so labor in future pregnancies will definitely test that weak spot. And so a doctor needs to determine if the woman's chance of delivering vaginally is high and her chance for uterine rupture and complications is low, and if that's the case, then he may tell the woman that she has the option for a VBAC. And so again, it's good to talk with your doctor about this, and they can give you tailored information and advice about whether you're a candidate or not, and if so, if you can have an induction and what the timing of that would be. If you have any more questions in the future for me, feel free to ask them on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Intermountain Moms, and recommend us to your friends and family too.